So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be firing someone in India. It's part of my long-running series of comparative human resources. I compare human resource law across the world as much as I can with the knowledge I have compared to what's going on in the United States and elsewhere. Today we're going to be talking about India. This article is from AZB and Partners. You can take a look and link down below if you want to check it out. I'm probably going to be doing more content on India in the near future. Please, share and subscribe if you're interested in that, because India has a lot of interesting labor laws. I just got done reading a book about industrial relations with respect to Gandhi. And I'll probably be covering that in a later video, but I think that it's a great way to start talking about these things and what's going on in India. They have some interesting labor regulations from the 30s and 40s that maintain very relevant today. So let's get right into it. The question first off is, can you terminate for any reason, like in the United States? Are employees at will? And in India, for the most part, they're not at will. They haven't really defined over by law what it means to be terminated for reasonable cause, but redundancy, underperformance, misconduct, ill health, or any other legitimate reason are reasons to in the employment relationship. But beyond that, they have to do a pay in lieu of notice if, in the case of termination from employment, unless it's gross misconduct. We saw that recently in Hungary. We've seen that in many countries. That's fairly common to not pay a severance payment or payment in lieu of notice if it's gross misconduct. Employers absolutely have to investigate to ensure that the disciplinary is held for the purpose of principles of, quote, natural justice. It means that, obviously people have to have reasonable proof. They have to understand the rules that are involved. They have to be warned previously, etc. I am very curious, like many countries, whether or not how frequently people are terminated without notice and without pay, or are people, frequently standing up for themselves? What does that employer-employee relationship look like? If you have insights, leave a comment down below. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts as to, well, how many people, how many businesses simply do follow the rules? Or is it very impossible for the government to manage a country of 1.3, 1.4 billion people and many informal employments that are involved into that? So in the case of redundancies or layoffs, every person with continuous service for at least 1 year gets at least 15 days of average pay for every completed year of continuous service. And so, that's a significant payout if you're looking at redundancies. We don't have any sort of prescribed severance pay in the United States. I would say that that's probably generous compared to other severance pays that I've been experienced in the past, but it is, of course, business to business. There are some measures for redundancies, just like in the United States with respect to the WARN Act. I find it interesting a little bit in that in India, it's specifically focused around factories, mines, and plantations, very hard labor, and less so just as a general, right? There are or all companies, as far as I'm concerned, are subject to the WARN Act, assuming that they fit the specific size requirements and termination requirements. But in India, it's based on what kind of work they're doing. I do think that there is some Gandhian influence there. Certainly he had a lot to do with the cotton mills. Employers do have to get notice from the jurisdictional labor authority, and they have to get approval from that. In the United States, it's just a notice. I think in most states, there are some states, I believe there might be some approval levels, but for the most part, you just give a notice. You tell people that they're going to be terminated ahead of time, and they don't receive any pay for this. They just get advance notice from the labor board. Uh, Similar to Hungary and similar to quite a few, I find this very interesting, to be honest. Maternity leave is like the inalienable right. Most countries don't have any other protected classes protected from dismissal other than maternity. Nothing else. Not race, not gender, nothing else but maternity. Uh, and so I find that just extremely curious. It's great that they're protecting mothers. I'm surprised that there isn't further protections. And then in addition, employees categorized as workers can't be terminated during an industrial dispute. And that is very Gandhian. He had a lot of rules surrounding or he had a lot of philosophies surrounding the labor management relationship, specifically around strikes. Again, I'm going to be covering them in a later video because I just find them so insightful. I think that there's a lot of value there. And ultimately, the last one I wanted to cover is that you can contractually agree on a mandatory retirement age with employees, but there's none that's prescribed. They are retiring a little bit earlier than the United States. The retirement age is between 58 and 60. Of course, in the United States, we typically consider 65, although you can retire earlier. But generally 65 is what we think of. So what do you think about India and its labor laws? Is this valuable insights into the dynamics in the United States? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.